I am going to talk something different because in forenoon we have talked about the mainly tractors, and in afternoon session I am going to talk about the implements and what is the trend and way forward. And I am observing that I am odd man out also because most of you are from the sales side and from the industry. I am from the government side. So in this slide you can observe that around 45% of our workforce is engaged in agriculture, but its contribution to GDP of our country is only around 18 to 19%, which shows that our labor productivity is low. If we see in this slide that the horticulture production has even surpassed the food grain production. We have good mechanization in food grain production, but we have poor mechanization, particularly for horticulture production. In forenoon session, there was some talk about the low horsepower tractors used in horticulture. Here you can see that India is a bottom of pyramid country from the land holding point of view. 86% of our land holding is below 2 hectares and only 4.3% of our land holding is above 4 hectares. So we can say that only 4% of our land holding is suitable for individual ownership of farm equipment, and that highlights the need for going for customizing of farm equipment. Another point which was raised in forenoon also, that labor availability in agriculture is reducing day by day. And in this slide you can see that the workforce engaged in agriculture, presently it is around 45%, and by 2047 it is expected to go down to around 26%. And in that also the percentage of female workers in agriculture is going to be enhanced, and that is expected to go up from 45% to 60%. So that is due to the migration of workers from the male workers, particularly from the rural area to urban area, to work in service sector, to work in industry, to work in construction sectors. So that highlights the need of development of equipments or machinery or even tractors which can be operated by male as well as female workers. In forenoon also it was highlighted that food grain productivity has increased over the years, and there is direct relationship between the farm power availability and food grain productivity that you can see in this slide. And presently farm power availability in Indian agriculture is around 2.54 kilowatt per hectare. In this slide you can see the sale trend of tractors. It has already been highlighted in forenoon by Nomura that the sale of 40 to 50 horsepower tractor is increasing over the years. Even sale of low horsepower tractor, you can see at the bottom, that is also increasing, and that is due to use of those small tractors, particularly for horticulture work as well as for puddling operation for cultivation of rice crop. But these sale of 40 to 50 horsepower tractor increase is due to our thinking that is due to custom hiring of farm equipment, because average availability of land holding is reducing day by day, and now people are going for custom hiring of farm equipment to reduce the cost of cultivation of different crops. Here you can see the mechanization level for different crops, and here you can observe particularly for food grain crops like rice and wheat, there is good mechanization except for rice transplanting. Still in most part of country it is being done manually. But if we see the mechanization level for cotton and sugarcane crop, particularly cash crops, then there is low mechanization, particularly harvesting of those crops. So that highlights the need for increasing the mechanization level to reduce the drudgery of workers engaged in agriculture, as well as to address the problem of migration of labor from the rural area to urban area. Here you can see that India is a trade plus country, particularly in terms of agriculture equipment, and this export of the agriculture machinery from India is increasing over the years. whereas import is going down, but still we have import of agriculture machinery in our country, and around 10% of tractors produced in our country are exported. And particularly India exports agriculture machinery to USA around 18%, and to our neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and European country like Turkey. Here you can see that if we see the global export of tractors and agriculture machinery, so in that major contribution is from European Union, that is 62%, then Asia 18.9%, in that major contribution is from China and India, and 18.7% from the USA. And if we see the total exported machinery from different countries globally, that in that only 31% share is of tractors and 69% share is of agriculture machinery. So globalization, globally we are moving from the tractorization to mechanization, and in India also there is need for us to move from the tractorization to mechanization, or we have to work together. So there are number of challenges in enhancing the mechanization. One has already been highlighted in forenoon also, that land holding is going down by down, day by day, as well as our land trends also varies from part to part, and that also limits the use of high horsepower tractors or even higher weight machinery. In addition to that, in our country there is lot of variation, particularly about the cultivation of crop from region to region, and so we need different kinds of machinery for cultivation of different crops grown in different parts of the country. And another, there is need for development of gender neutral machinery which can be operated by male as well as female workers, because the participation of female is increasing in agriculture day by day. Now I will highlight the kind of equipments which have been developed and which are being used in Indian agriculture. No one talked about the manually operated or animal operated equipment in forenoon session, but still those are being used in some part of country, particularly in the remote places as well as in hilly regions. So for tillage, manually operated, even animal operated equipments as well as tractor operated implements are available, and nowadays even automated, or even you may call them laser guided land levelers are also being used, particularly on custom hiring basis in northern states, particularly for fine leveling of land for preparation of field for rice cultivation. And recently at the bottom right hand side you can see the control level laser leveler has also been developed and commercialized. For sowing and planting also, similarly manually operated equipments, animal operated equipments, and tractor operated equipments are being used in our country, and recently even some crop specific planters have also been developed, like seed spice planters, but as well as small seed planters, and nowadays even pneumatic planters have been introduced in our country to save the cost of the seeds, but because the cost of the seeds are increasing day by day, and nowadays a few manufacturers have also started manufacturing pneumatic planters in our country. For planting of different crops or seedlings of those crops, even semi-automatic vegetable transplanters are available. Nowadays efforts are being made for development of automated transplanters also. For potato we have the semi-automatic planters as well as automatic planters, as well as we have the crop specific planters like turmeric planters, as well as for sugarcane planters. And for rice transplanting, still in some part of our country, manual transplanting is being done. That involves lot of drudgery. Then we have the manually operated rice transplanter, 2-row, 3-row, as well as 6-row units also. Those are also being used on limited scale. And nowadays even self-propelled rice transplanter, walking type, as well as ride-on type transplanters are being used in our country on custom hiring basis. And those require mat type nursery. For interculture operations also we have manually operated equipments, then tractor operated as well as self-propelled equipments. And nowadays even sensor-based intra-row weeder has also been developed and efforts are being made to commercialize those equipments. For plant protection, we have manually operated knapsack sprayer that is most popular. In addition to that, we have the animal drawn spares also. Then we also have the tractor operated spares like horizontal boom sprayer, aeroblast spares, air assisted spares, and presently sensor based spares are also developed in our country, and nowadays those are also being manufactured because those helps in saving of the input by around 50%, particularly pesticides, because those spray only on the plant canopy. For harvesting also we have the manually operated serrated sickle, then self-propelled vertical conveyor reaper binders. Initially reaper binders have been imported in our country, but nowadays reaper binders are also being manufactured tractor operated as well as self-propelled in our country. And we have the different kinds of thresher, even crop specific thresher as well as multi-crop thresher for threshing of different crops, and those are also being used on custom hiring basis in our country. For harvesting of food grain crops, combines are being used in our country. Right now on the top right hand side you can see the head feed combine which leaves the complete straw, and those combines are being imported, and nowadays farmers are also adopting such combines on custom hiring basis. Particularly there is problem of burning of the crop residue of paddy straw after harvesting of paddy crop before sowing of wheat crop, and to address that problem we have formulated one scheme on in situ management of crop residue in the northern states, and in that also we have promoted number of machineries like happy seeders combined with super SMS, and then smart seeder or even super seeder also, and due to that effort the burning of the crop residue had reduced by around 50%. So what is the way forward? So way forward, because our land holding size is reduced, cost of ownership of machinery is increasing, and that highlights that we have to reduce the cost of ownership of the farm equipment, and that is possible to custom hiring or contract farming, because the use of that particular machinery will be for limited time in a year for an individual owner, and if individual owner will go for that particular machinery, then the cost of cultivation of that particular crop will increase. Then if we go for mechanization or if we increase the mechanization, we need after sales support for maintenance of those machinery, and for that also different logistic tools are nowadays available. And another, like we are using a smartphone and we want to be smart day by day, farmers are also interested to be smart, and if we adopt electronics in the machinery, then that will make machinery smart, and in that we have to develop the gender neutral machinery. Right now tractors control the implements, but in future we are expecting that implements may guide the tractor based on the requirement in the field. Another, supervised autonomy. Nowadays even some machinery have been developed, I will show in my presentation, which can be remotely controlled, and in future we may see even autonomous tractors also. Mahindra has made some attempts to launch an autonomous tractor in India in 2019. So right now industry is talking about industry 4.0. So in mechanization also we are talking about the mechanization 4.0. And in that first component will be farming as a service, because the cost of ownership of machinery is increasing. So we have to go for custom hiring or contract services for farm machinery. Another, we have to use the big data, particularly the data about the rainfall data as well as fertilizer availability in the nutrient availability in field, and if on the basis of variable availability of nutrient, variable rate applicators may help farmers to take smart decisions. And we are also started using the application of IoT, particularly for smart irrigation system as well as for control of storage structures in our country. And in the future, we are expecting that our machinery will be AI enabled, particularly for weeding, spraying, as well as for harvesting operations, which may help in enhancing the productivity as well as accuracy. So for farming as a service, there are a number of services. I have listed a few in this slide, and those are mainly from the corporates as well as from some other entrepreneurs. Even government has also launched. For seeding, planting and fertilizer application, we have developed even the pelletized rice seeder, which can be remotely controlled from the one corner of the field, so farmer may not have to enter in the field to sow the rice seeds. As well as at the bottom, you can see that we have developed the variable rate fertilizer applicator, so that is based on the nutrient availability map of the field. And nowadays we are working in the area of robotics also. In that we have developed lab-based robotic model for transplanting of vegetable seedlings, as well as now we are testing it in field also for enhanced water use efficiency, because water availability in India is reducing as well as area under irrigation is increasing. So for that purpose also we have developed the automatic irrigation system for rice. So in that it works on alternate wetting and drying principles. So whenever water level goes up to some level, it automatically puts on the pumps and irrigation system works. And these systems are only 10 to 15,000 only, because in forenoon there was talk that if you go for automation, that will enhance the cost, but not so high. So for crop health monitoring also, you can see on top left hand side we have developed the SPAD meter. So that is for knowing the chlorophyll content of the leaves, and on that basis fertilizer recommendations are given. Presently SPAD meters are being imported in our country, and those cost around 1.5 lakh rupees. And we have developed this SPAD meter at our institute. It is having nearly same accuracy, and it cost only around 5 to 7,000 rupees. And recently we licensed it to 3 licensees also. So I was mentioning that we have developed the sensor-based sprayers also, so that identify the plant canopy, and on that basis it sprays only on the plant canopy, and that helps in saving of pesticides by around 50%. What is problem? Okay. For harvesting also, in India, combine harvesters are not provided with yield monitors, and we use the yield monitor on combine harvester, and by knowing the yield variability within the fields, we can take steps to enhance the yield. At the bottom you can see that with the use of drones, we have taken the images of the mandarin oranges, and on that basis yield of oranges is also being estimated. In this slide you can see the remote control machinery, particularly remote control system for power tiller has been developed, and now it is commercially available also. Even rice transplanter also, in morning there was talk, and so for that also control system has been recently developed by our institute. And now in tractors are also provided with real-time monitoring system, particularly some manufacturers are providing in our country also. So nowadays everyone is talking about use of drones in agriculture, and drones can be used not only for spraying as well as for nutrient application, but those can be used for yield estimation as well as for seeding as well as fertilizer broadcasting in the fields, and for that also we have conducted study. So for providing the machinery which are being used by farmers, there is submission on agriculture mechanization. In that the farmers are provided, as well as custom hiring centers are provided subsidy from 40% to 70%. To have the good quality machinery to be used by the farmers, we have the 39 testing centers in different parts of the country, in addition to 4 testing centers in Government of India institution. So in the end, I may like to highlight here that high capacity machinery to be used on custom hiring basis. Another, we have to keep into consideration while designing the machinery's ergonomics and safety aspects, because if there will be a lot of drudgery in operation of machinery, then our younger generation may not be interested to work in agriculture. And we have to develop appropriate machinery for mechanization of horticulture and hill agriculture, because a lot of area is now being brought under horticulture also. And we have to go for whole crop mechanization of rice, sugarcane, cotton and potato crops. And we have to go for more application of precision in agriculture for reducing, for enhanced input use efficiency of seeds, fertilizer, even water or even energy also. And in that also farmers need support not only from government institutes but also private sectors, particularly at the start of adoption of such technology. And in future we are expecting that agriculture will be dominating not by the precision and cloud data with cost-effective technology like smart tractors, unmanned aerial vehicles and wireless technology. Even in this group also I am observing that leading software technology providers like SCL Technology and others are participating, and they are also working in the area of agriculture. Thank you.